Eh, yes, 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 yes. Welcome again to another stream here on Chaos Rain channel. As you know, I'm Chaos Rain here, the one and only. Um, as you know from the title and the thumbnail, it's something that we could probably look into examine for the solution parts of things. But before I go into my little dissertation rant about this, if you're new to Chaos Rain channel, please hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the top bell for notification for live streams, uploads here on the Chaos Rain channel. And salute to everybody in the chat room. Good evening. Good evening. Uh, also, one other thing, you could also follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7, and you could add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. 1 second, people. Let me look for something. And one thing before I go into the discussion of this particular stream, and what I've concluded and was thinking very hard on this and was contemplating on this before creating this particular stream, is there are so many problems in the world. As you know, as a man, you're never going to solve every problem, but there are things that we could easily alleviate or come to a conclusion that might be one way, or maybe not the only, but one way to solve the small problems here in the West we call America for average men. And I mean average men, and this could apply to any man, but we could say black men specifically. One thing I would say, if you have not catch any of the previous broadcasts here on Chaos Rain, I would highly recommend you do to go back through some playbacks, some that are labeled and numbered for specific times of the stream for certain parts of the channel. Not everything is going to be labeled and timestamp on Chaos Rain. The ones that are timestamped, those, you could probably go back and cut the time of what was said throughout the whole entire stream. But the ones that have not, there's reason for that, because I will let you be the judge and listen to the whole stream in its entirety. And as you know, I don't do short-term conversations here on the Chaos Rain. Most of my streams are on the average, maybe pushing to 90 minutes or above. Usually I like to keep it on the 90-minute mark, the sweet spot. But none of that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on. And make sure y'all guys hit the like button. Let everybody know. So one thing to really lay out the foundation, we could probably go into some CDC or Black demographics. I think I'll do Black demographics because CDC, if I could dial it in, let me type up CDC for a second. See if the information is just as presentable. If not, we'll do Black demographics because it is more done by a brother that put the time, energy. Because we want to know what the average is right now. CDC. For men. It didn't pull up, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to refresh this. Yeah, I probably will refresh it. Let me delete that. There we go. Let's see that pull up. Mm. Mm. All right. We'll probably click onto this. Interesting. This is very interesting. I'm just looking at this the average right now. This is the wrong one. The CDC. All right, we'll go black demographics. I'll open the window. Demographics. Don't mind me, people. I'm trying to find my things before I. Let's see. Let me see. This is black demographics. Okay, so these are the sites. Okay, so let's give you the title. No further ado, the title for today's stream is titled "The Solution for the Average Man Here in the West of America." Now, as you know, the issue with a lot of men, right, they're trying to copulate, have a woman to marry, have children, and to carry on a life, can be challenging here in America, especially. If they said the average wage for one, we'll do it black man, roughly over 42K, and then the average non-black man, mostly Caucasian man, 50K, and other racial men that's either higher or below range from either under 30. And the Asians, I think the Asians probably have a little bit more than the Caucasian man because they have not only some business, but they also tie into the fiat debt of America. So they're gonna have a little bit more money to spend. So their wage is gonna be a little different, which is probably maybe higher than all three categories. But nonetheless, that is the scenario we see here today. One thing is be clear that an average man today in the 21st century can suck. I will totally agree on that. Sometimes some men where they think it's comfortably average and that's good enough, that will work. And it could work 40, 50 years ago, or much less 40 years ago. But today, now looking forward into the present and future, it will not sustain you, no matter what state you live in America. Now, some people say a man can't live and be comfortably or live on his own at 40K, which I challenge that for a second because let's be honest. Most men, if we talk about this is the average earner for black men and other race men, that's only 10K difference, have made use of the money that they gather or spend on themselves and probably with a mate or a girlfriend or some lovely lady on the side. But we never really understand what is the real intentions in the end game if the modern man, or we call it the Irish man, in this world we live in today, said that that's all they're going to amount to and they're going to stay on it and think that's just enough. Well, I'm going to tell you personally, gentlemen, to you might think it's average and that's good and you want to stay at that. But I tell you, in the world where we live in a global system, if you're going to remain here in the Western world we call America, your best shot and best bet is to downgrade your living expense and probably might have to go to other states that the cost of living, if you're able to still make that 42 grand stretch on other states and cities. Now, I remember, and I'm going to pull up some numbers and charts in a second. I remember if it, from my understanding, is that I remember the one they call Mr. Igmore had a rant about how people feel say that a lot of men are checking out, and a lot of men are not going to deal with the nonsense. You get me? Which is fine. And I'm trying to find something right now because I'm going to add something here if this player allows me to do it. Let me do this. I might as well play a few from Mr. Igmore himself. Let me find it. Now, obviously, this is a rant from Mr. BG. What's this? Let me play him and let y'all be the judge. And I will give some commentary in a little bit. So actually before I play it, let me do this. Okay, I found it. Let's share this. I'm gonna play some of this. I might give commentary. All right, y'all listen and be the judge of this.
You know what? I've been inundated by this particular story, actually a host of stories. But once you start looking into it, everybody's going to the one on CNN about the imbalance of men and women on campus, even though that imbalance has been there for the last 20 years or so. Women caught up and passed men on campus past the 50-50 mark back in the 80s, and that's of white men. Black women have always been more educated than black men. That's why I talk about the Monahan report so much. It's because he pointed it out. 75% of your valedictorians in high school, going back some 80 years, were female. Always have been female. Had you go back to the Mohawk Conference, they said that black men did not need to be educated. And most black men, for the most part, and Dr. Johnson pointed this out, did not graduate past 8th grade until the Kerner Commission in 1968, when they actually needed to put men in factories and needed to at least get them a high school education. And that's what it really used to be. My parents were sharecroppers, and their goal was not to get their kids into college. Their goal was to get kids out of high school because most of them never did. My mother didn't graduate high school, neither did my father. So they thought it was an accomplishment just to get all their children with a high school diploma. College was not in their purview. Now with my kids, the minimum was a high school diploma. All of my kids went to college and they at least did 1 year at a 4-year college. All of them. That was the goal. I have one child that has a bachelor's and one child that's on the way. And the one child that decided that it wasn't worth his time was my son. But that's the backdrop. But I should give a more detailed video, and I may do that later, but this is a goddamn rant. So if you don't like profanity, then you should cut this stuff off right now. I'm mighty sick of this. Sick of this shit. Okay? I actually did 3 videos, I think it was 4, called Feminize America. Feminize America is not an effect. Okay? It's not a cause, it's an effect. It's an intentional effect by this country to not only feminize females but also males on purpose. It's not an accident. It's on purpose. That's how come they gave the feminists the school system. They knew what they were doing. They encouraged it. They tilted the playing field on purpose. And they put this whole system, this whole country in the hands of post-structuralist feminists that think nature doesn't count. First.
Okay. Pause for a second. Now, as you know, you hear Mr. Igmore and the rant, and I want y'all to be clear. Move this. This was a passionate rant, nonetheless, but a rant has to be examined, like always. And as you know, they talk about the fall of the man, but really, was it really man's fault, or is it really the structure that we don't control? Because at the end, you have to be in control of something. Now, can men make more money? Yes, depending how he goes about in this Western world to make the money. Can it stop him? That depends on what institution you seek to try and get your money, where you get your money from, and how you're gonna make your money. America is a criminal organization, as people are aware of this. And only people that operate under capitalism in a way where it takes a group effort and groups are protected by other institutions, your ceiling of how much you can really get and keep is solely dependent on this group structure. So let's continue playing this. I was going to add that in because, some things I missed.
That's where the nurture over nature comes from. And they believe that who you are and how you act is not due to your biology. It's performative, as they call it. In other words, it's how you're taught to act. And if you just change the instructions that you give the machine, it's one thing Scott Galloway did say, that he's now coming to know this because it's obvious that men and women are different, fundamentally different, physically. They have different missions. So they thought, which was incorrect because they tried it before. I always point back to the Atlantic in 1912, series of Atlantic articles about feminizing white men, white boys in high school, and giving them a curriculum that's not suited to them because they're boys. Now you're going to feminize the boys. They said that in 1912. You read. That's why I always go back to the boy problem. I might have to go through the whole book because it's one of those things that's probably necessary at this point. Because I'm getting tired of the anti-intellectual bent that America has, especially the people that so-called are intellectuals and so-called are knowers and are thinkers. You can't go past 90 days. Okay, white people are getting bad. Black people have always gotten bad because guess who the culprit always is? It's never about the female. What the woman wants is always foremost. I was listening to what tripped this off, and I'll give him a shout out, is Anton. And it's Anton Daniels in his after show, right? And he's talking about what women want. Women don't want a guy making $40,000. Guess what, Anton? 42% of people in America, not black, 42% of all people in America make less than $18,000 a year. The median earnings, which is 50-50 of a white man, of all people, but a white man is $33,000 a year, median earnings. The median earning of a black man is 26. So if you don't want a $40,000 a year guy or a $50,000 a year guy, you're throwing away 70% of the men.
Now let's imply and go by that. Are we really throwing away men? Now, mind you, like anything in the Western world, it is a dual mating strategy. You see, the luxury as a man, whether you're average or not, the ceiling of performance can be high or low, depending on what you want out of this life. But nonetheless, it is a challenge, nonetheless, that you live under a structure that, like I said before, you do not control. It's a capitalist system where only a small people will cipher from the lower ends of the community and the lower ends of society to build their wealth up. Now, outside of America, is a little different in how things are structured, rather capitalism, socialism. I think most people, especially when we're talking about black people or any other person, they love this social order because they think and feel that they could accelerate and be what we consider the top percent. And knowing this, the pie of money is always going to be shorter. Hell, look at YouTube. Imagine everybody, which is the millions in America. Let's take America, for example. Decide to create content YouTube and meet the requirements. 1,000, 4,000 watch time, and get monetized. How much you think the pie of pool of money is going to be stretched? It's going to be very little. And YouTube already is aware of this. And what they do every quarterly or every end of year, they always re-update the terms of service of their platform so that you have to meet the further burdens of performance. Because you live in a capitalist world where the ostracity of the purpose of capitalism is I take, or I say I rob Peter to Paul, these type of special what we call biblical terms. I take from you and I keep. And I'm gonna keep taking from you and keeping. And I'm backed and protected by institutions, i.e., the government. Look at many bailouts that happened last year and bailouts that happened 13 years ago. While you, as the person, Red, you're average at best, maybe above average or below, hold the bag. Because let's be honest, most of the time when they're making money, they're not really getting out here. They might make 100K, but really, truly, the people that really has actual wealth is not just past them, but they are protected institutionalized. Cerulli has said this when he was doing content for the last 3 years, and I think BGS Igmore has been saying, a lot of people that's been talking about that has PhDs and not been talking about and told people this for years now, since people got access to these gentlemen through social media and YouTube. But we not really understand conception of what they're really saying. Now, what Mr. Igmore just said, he said personally that the average right now in America is 35 to 26, which a lot of us never did knew this, because a lot of us that think that we got a job or two that we didn't think we're making that much. But when you look at when you have to file your tax and you have to pay that in tax, because most of you that either wage slave or you're a sole proprietor or whatever, you're gonna pay taxes. And most of the people that are in a certain bracket, depending on how you structure your institution, which a lot of us don't got institution, and some of us might not pay much tax, or we pay little tax, you're being taxed nonetheless. So let's continue playing. And I'm gonna probably put some do a little Googling, see what's going out here to see if this validates it.
And that is a fucking structural problem of the United States. Nobody on purpose, for the vast majority of people on purpose, do not earn as much as they can. That is a fucking structural problem of the United States. Now that's out of the way. It's not men's goddamn problems about women's mating strategy. Fuck it. Make prostitution legal and be done with it. Because that's all it's fucking about is pussy. If America doesn't care about a two-parent household, why should men give a fuck about a two-parent household if America does it? If the society does it? Society does not encourage a two-parent household. It doesn't. And it hasn't for the last 60 years, especially in the black community. I'm getting freaking tired of you trying to lay this shit on the backs and at the feet of black men. Even today, when only 10% of your fucking boys can read. Are you fucking kidding me? That means you don't give a shit. You don't give a shit about boys. And really, the only reason people are bringing this shit up is because now it's laid at the feet of white men. White men are getting their Negro wake-up call. Now it's a full stop. Your feminists talked about this damn near 10 years ago. Go back and read the End of Men. I did. Go back and read The Richer Sex. I did. Feminists talked about this. They were cheering because they finally reached equity in 2012, especially after the downturn when they cheered men losing their freaking jobs because they gained a certain amount of power. As long as it was equal and women weren't suffering, it was all good. And when white women weren't suffering, it was all good. Now white women have to face the same thing that black women have to face. White women wanted what black women had, which is a gynocracy. Now they're getting ready to get it, and they don't like it. They want it, but they don't like it. Same reason black women want it, but they don't like it. If you want to turn the stuff on its head, which is something Moynihan said years ago. Moynihan said this back in 1965. You need to give resources to the men because the men need to take care of their families, and the men need to be heads of household because to him, that was the natural order of things. And to him, that's the reason the black community had dysfunction, is because the men weren't in their proper place, according to this society, according to the rest of the world, basically, because women naturally want men to be head of household. White women naturally want men to be ahead of them. But the thing is, if you come up with this post-structuralist feminist training, this nurture over nature, and you want everything. We want equity, which is not equality, which is equity. Equality is equal accessibility, a level playing field. That's equality, and maybe the best person in each category win. That's equality. Equality of opportunity. In fact, that's what was coming out of the Kerner Commission. The original term was equal opportunity. The EEOC, which was what it was in vogue when I first started to go to college. It was just changing it over after the Bakke decision. Equal opportunity. EOC. They changed it to affirmative action because they didn't want black men to have a level playing field. They wanted to tilt the playing field toward not only white men but also white women. Guess who took the majority of those positions that were supposed to be for your men? It's white women. And now white women want to keep it. And then what did they do? They wanted to burn the ladder so that not only black men but also black women couldn't climb it. But they got drunk with power, just like black women did. They got used to wheeling the rolling pin. They got used to the playing field being tilted in their favor. And after 50 years of it being tilted in their favor, guess what you got to get on the other side? You got what you got. That's why CNBC was showing what the tilt was before the 1970s and after the 1970s. What does that tell you? It's not a natural occurrence. It's called feminism. It's called feminist policies backed by not just the women, by your government. This is intentional. Why? Because you thought it was going to work. Because you believe in nurture over nature. You thought that women were going to be happy with this. Just
Oh damn, my fault. I hit some wrong. I'll find the clip again, guys. But yeah, matter of fact, for those that's listening, you could share this and please hit the like button. Let me just do something quickly. Take a short look. Okay, I fix it. Salute, doctor. So now, like the man said, all this was planned from the start. Before I was even conceived or Mr. Igmore, any other man out here, the terrain, the environment was set. It was created. It was actually created for a whole lot of men, especially black men, to fail. That's why you look at when we talk about burden performance, that's a pipe dream. It's a very much a pipe dream. Should men stay stagnant and accept the pipe dream? No. And this society and the system, way how it's structured and how it's going, you cannot maintain it. And you as men in the structure will not survive in this type of climate. Because we all know that if you do not perform in this society, you do not eat. And I'll do this. There you go, Dr. Funder. Make life easy for you. Thank you. What you must understand, and you must understand, is that you got to understand your position right now as a man in this Western world. You think it's going to get easier as time progresses? I hear most people say men make more money. And a lot of men question for what? And I get you. For what? Because you don't want to make no money for a bitch. You want to make money as a man for your own sustainability and for you to not only maneuver in life, but to open your options. That's the premise. How are you gonna achieve this greater way of making more money so you could hold on and sustain it? I'm not gonna really give that answer, but I'll give a small solution for the average man. For men that want to, if they feel they being average is okay, or they want to be something more above or average. You do have options out here, brothers and other men. You do have options. But I'll probably find once I do the little calculator. Let's continue to play this. And then we're going to do some quick Googling.
You got Why the Last Man. They're showing feminist women what it's like when you're in charge. And that world is chaos. This society is not built for women to be in charge. Women need to have a structure. Who builds the structure? It's not women.
Oh, sorry guys, I did something wrong.
But they got drunk with power, just like black women did. They used to wheel in a rolling pin. They got feminist women what it's like when you're in charge. And that world is chaos. Feminist women what it's like when you're in charge. And that world is chaos. Feminist women what it's like when you're in charge. And that world is chaos. Feminist women what it's like when you're in charge. And that world is chaos. This society is not built for women to be in charge. Women need to have a structure.
What you said, Mr. Igmore? You tell me if women were in charge, there's chaos, no order? But isn't that what we live in right now? Isn't this the world we shape and groom, or what is already presented? With chaos, there is a great disorder. And they come in and swoop to restore the order in which the world you live in today. That is the purpose of life. From the last century going on to this century. Chaos, no order. Women are the pinnacles of that chaos. And you, as the man, you must restore the order in which the world you live in today. By nature, they have shown their nature to you, men, that they're chaotic beings. Have you noticed a story when you hear from most men? Since I'm gonna go do this, right? For most men, have you noticed that one dude said that he was in a relationship with a woman? I'm not sure if she was fat or slim or ugly, but he was in a relationship nonetheless. And do you know this woman tried to seek or see validation in his manhood? She will start a fight, some form of chaotic order with another man, so that they could put you in a position to see what you're going to do. Either you're going to fight or flight. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this briefly, because I remember the same gentleman told me this story. I had to sit back and think, saying, why would women want to create chaos? Because she wants to see the chaos not only in herself, but wants to spew the chaos in her environment and see how much you as a man is going to restore that order. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it dangerous that women are the pinnacles of chaos? They always talk about man is chaos, but no, let's look at this more. In this Western world we live in today, they are actually shown more chaos than the man. Usually, man is a byproduct of what he is instilled or groomed or bred to be. Nature and nurture, like the man said earlier in the stream. So, are you breeding order or are you breeding chaos? That is a question you should always rationally think as a man when dealing with this woman. Let's continue.
Who builds the structure? It's not women. America is getting what it deserves. I don't feel sorry for it. I don't feel sorry for the women. It's a mating crisis. Oh, but now we're going to put it on the men. Okay, if you don't do something about it, the men are going to get pissed off and they're going to have a revolution. They talk about in history, men get pissed off because they're alone and they're broke, and they'll have a revolution. If that was the case, Japan would have had one. It's called the Lotus Eaters. If that was the case, China would be having one right now. They call it young men laying flat. The same phenomenon has already been going on. The MGTOWs, whether you like them or not, MGTOWs have said that for years. MGTOWs have been trumpeting this cry for years. Ismores have been saying this for years. Black men have been saying this since the 70s. Eventually, it was going to happen. Took a couple generations for men to catch up. Now, what men are seeing, they don't see a value in participating in this society the way that you want them to participate. They don't see the value in a two-parent household. They don't see value in having a family. That's like a 54% of your men don't have kids. 54% of your black men don't have kids, and are not going to get married. They don't see value in a monogamous framework. They don't. It's only increasing. If you poll the millennials, if you poll the Z's, it's going to be 75%. If you truly believe in this structure of a family unit, the United States and Western countries are not doing anything to actually enhance it. That's how come that stuff is spreading down Latin America like wildfire. It's also spreading to Africa. This is going to be a global phenomenon. And your so-called experts on YouTube, your talking heads, let me get this clear to all the I'm not gonna call any names, but you know who you are. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's the goddamn problem. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And the people that do know are not saying anything. There's a reason they stopped the Mouse Utopia experiments because it was too accurate. Me and the nameless protagonist did about a whole series of videos on this, talking about this, what we call the demographic shift in I think it's the behavioral cliff, where you decline and the society starts to die off. And that would be fine if it was just limited to the United States. The thing is, now you have a global civilization, and it's all happening at the same time. And instead of countering what you saw coming, you're actually enhancing. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the Malthusians have gotten control of this society, of this civilization. They're actually pushing policies to have a natural decline, possibly.
No, Mr. Igmore, they are pushing it for decline. I said back in 2019, the end of 2019, that you're going to see a decline in the population of human beings globally. Globally. I can't find the broadcast, but it's on my channel that talks about from 1 billion to a couple hundred thousands. That was the whole intention, the whole end game, because we're now moving into technology now, where human bodies are going to be in time, not right now, but in time, in a few decades, going to be infused with machinery. Or we're going to have just machines do most of the work, and people are going to just, less people for necessities. Everything's done to restructure this environment for the people that really run societies to shape it to their image. Now, we're not going to do conspiracy theories or contemplate what really environment they want to see in the next 10, 20 years. But we can conclude that the fact they are downsizing and, shrinking people. So you don't have to really speculate because you could see it in front of your eyes. It's no longer speculation, not no conspiracy theory. It's right in there, full blown in your face. So I'm gonna probably run a few more, and I'm gonna probably look at some, do some Googling.
Because if that is the case, it's working. Now, normally I would put up charts and pictures, stuff like I'm not doing that today because this is a rant. If you're asking me for links today, go suck on a lemon and go hit Google and do some research because I'm not putting links in here today. This is an emotional rant. Even though there's logic to it, it's an emotional rant. So if you ask me for a logical, detailed, academic linked discussion, forget about it. So don't even put it in the comment section because you're not going to get it. Go do your homework. Stop being lazy. Get tired of people asking me for links. The last video a couple of videos I did, I talked about the report of the National Institute of Health, talked about the black men and black women having a disparate number of children between them. Even though a couple of months before I actually did a whole video explaining it. And these are my followers. They're asking me for information. Go look. But anyway, this is a natural consequence. This is a natural consequence. Now, white women that can't find mates because we want a man with a college degree. And if you don't have a college degree, we can't get together. Well, then go be a concubine to the four guys. I heard Scott talk about the four guys on the mating app. They're attracted to four guys. Well, go be their concubine. Well, if there's 50 women after four guys, then get in the rotation and shut up. Everybody's what they call concern trolling men. Oh, if we don't do anything about it, and there's a mating crisis, then men are going to get pissed off and they're going to tear up society. So what? Let them tear it up. Shit don't work. You're not willing to change it. Let them tear it up. If women don't have mates, so what? I don't give a shit whether they have mates or not. That's not men's problem where women have mates. They built the system. They tilted the system. They pushed for the system to be tilted. Suck it up, cupcake, and read it and weep. Stand on your square. You want independence. You want an unfair advantage. You got it. Now read it and weep. Either take care of the guy, get a poor guy, get a supportive guy, and take care of him, and shut the fuck up and sit down.
Woo! Damn. You know, I was surprised that if they hit BGS on that video, man, because he said some shit that a lot of women not gonna like. But you know, at his age, at his point, he just don't give a fuck at this point. It is what it is. You get me? But and I remember there was a conversation with Dr. Johnson where they expect that most women, I think mostly sisters, from what he said, that they expect that as the boy or the young man comes straight out of school or wherever position he pursues education or his trade, that he should be six figures now. Like right now, like a microwave or like a toaster. Pop the food in, pop it out, ready to go. And that's not how the goddamn world works. It never work like that. And it never will. Men grow and get better with time. It is what it is. That's not no secret. How much further into this? Yeah, I could run for like another 3 minutes.
Like Kevin says, get a dog and die. 50 years, 2.5 generations, you did nothing. You did nothing to develop these men. Nothing. In fact, you did the opposite. You did everything to retard these men. And now, 2.5 generations later, you're crying because you have a 60-40 split. What'd you expect? Men aren't applying because they don't see value. Look, everybody's looking at this one article like the Atlantic and CNN. They don't look at the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal, at least, that's one thing my advisor told me a long time ago, back in the 90s, right? The reason you read the Wall Street Journal is because Wall Street Journal has the duty to tell the truth. Why? Because if they lie, people are not going to make money. People are going to lose money if they have wrong information. They have to at least balance it with some truth. Wall Street Journal told you why men do not want to participate in college. They told you because men don't see a value in participating in this system. They don't see a value is running through this gauntlet for what? For debt? For the approval of some chick? You're trying to convince guys they should run this gauntlet, jump over these hoops for some pussy. Really. And then you get mad when the guys say they're not going to do it. If every man in America wants to be a fucking bum, let him be a fucking bum. And let the system fall. If you're not going to make it fair, you're not going to make it level, let the goddamn thing fall. I'm an old man, and I'm the first one that's going to get hit and get hurt. But at some point, you got to be ready to let pull, be like Samson, get in the middle of the pillars, and basically, okay, the shit's not working, shit's not fair. Let's go ahead and pull the pillars. And I'm willing to take the hit. I'm willing for the building to collapse on my head at this point. Let it fall. That's what I said about the black community. And I'm going to be frank in this one. They may have.
All right. That's enough. Hold on. That's enough of that. Let me do this. Yeah, you get the point. That's a lot. But was the elder really wrong? He just gave you this short data and statistics. And I remember another content creator talk about the Wall Street Journal and all these other stock market books or things that talk about wealth and where money's going. That a lot of us as people, men and women, we're not really reading some of these material. We're going by these short little essays and articles that's full of shit, and not telling the reality of people's position here in the West, in America. Besides some old books, they'll keep it honest, depending on what book you buy. But regardless, all this other stuff that circulates throughout the net, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. And they're being real blunt honest with their life because they know people are not going to fact check a lot of this shit they read. And if I came across some of this information, I read for myself and not to really take what it is and conclude that it could be full of shit for all we know and just laugh at it. Hello, how you doing, Miss Rain Woman? But like I said, most men, if they don't get what they want, they'll let this shit collapse tomorrow if needed. And since that is somewhat the actual average, besides the 40 to 50K, yeah, you actually, this system is saying that over 75%, which is over a quarter, and over 50 and greater, the men should be thrown away in the garbage. And this is just men in general. So the other 25% is the men have majority of or close to some of the wealth in this nation. So that's not a lot. 25%, 50% is failing, but only 25% got majority of the wealth. You got like a F minus right there. And that's not even passing. Hell, 50% is not even passing, much less anything around 60. But 75%, yeah. So let us look at some data here. For men in the United, let me see if I can find the United States. America. Let's see what pulls up. And make sure this is the right data. You know, I Googled wrong. Let me see if this will pop up because it can't say. Oh, let me see. Let me check, make sure I'm right. Yeah. I'm just looking at this real good before I share this. Yeah, this is something to examine. Yeah. Now, mind you, what I'm looking at, this is one data. This is total. Wait. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I might as well. I'll share this anyway. This is the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. I'll share this, and I'm gonna compare this with Black demographics. All right, so y'all will see this, and I'll probably leave the links to this one. All right, what y'all gonna witness and see? This is a table. Now, this is what they say: the median weekly earnings. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And how update is this? This is the quarter of 2021, seasonal adjusted. This is just the graph. And I will make this bigger for those to read this. Yeah, I got to make this bigger for those to look at this. Okay. What's this? Okay. As you see right here, and let me zoom one more time. Hispanic, Latino ethnicity, sex, second quarter, 2021 average, not seasonal adjusting. Now, I noticed they said something about that the people that's Hispanics making a lot of money. But I'm just looking at this one. This is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is labor statistics. We see here, this is the total. Age, race, and Hispanic or Latin ethnicities. There's white, there's Black, Asian, and Hispanic Latino ethnicities. See this right here. This right here is the total. This is total. This right here. That's the total. Now, we don't want to focus on total. We want to know from each person. Let's start with the Caucasian man, the white male. And as you hear, it'll split between men and women. There's a total. But let's look at number of workers in thousands, meaning weekly earnings, women, and same thing, men and women. See this right here. So pay attention. 16 years and over. The male side. This is medium. And this is dealing with number of workers in the thousands. And this is, what is this? Weekly, monthly, overall. So let's say between weekly and monthly. Usually this should be more broken out, but this is the median weekly and number of workers in the thousands. So this is weekly earnings every week you get from what they said and projected. 16 years and over. It says here 1,000 projectedly in a week. From what it says, median weekly earnings. This is weekly now. Total median weekly earnings. 16 to 24. 600. Now, when we look at this, we always got to keep in mind how many hours these people are doing to make this amount of money, which has not been showing data on that. And let me do this because I don't want nothing shut off. Hold on. Okay. 25 years and older, roughly this, median weekly, which will equate to this. Yearly. I think yearly. Then 25 to 54. Weekly. Yearly. Now, I'm not focused on the women because women are always going to make less than men. If men are working, they're going to make more. So the focus of this little session and what you're seeing is with men. Now we got 55 years and over. They make somewhat a little bit more, but overall yearly, this is how they're going to bring in. Now I'm not sure if they're taxed more. That's why you're seeing the depreciation or the decline or whatever you want to call it. And weekly and mean weekly earnings, workers, number of workers in the thousands. This is the total. This is for men, meaning weekly earnings. This is the weekly earnings. That's what they make weekly. This is the total from what it's showing. Well, number of workers in the thousands. So forgive me if this is not clear, but it's showing you just a ratio of the median. Now, what the man said, the average is over 36. And I'm looking at it, looks like it almost is what is roughly almost on the ballpark for those that's 25 through 54. It roughly falls here. And if we look a little higher, as the younger you are, you might make a little bit more. But as you hit in the mid part, this is where it's decided. Now, every job is differently. Now, we could say that these jobs, depending on work, if they work a 9 to 5, that's how much they're going to probably bring in. Now, a career, that's a little bit of a different statistics. But this is for the Caucasian man. As you can tell, total. This is total. Total. So, oh yeah, this is 16 years and over, 16, 20. So this is like somewhat the total. Now let's go down to Black and African Americans. Roughly total. Right now, if you're younger, this is how much you could gross. Not talking about if you work at 9 to 5, you work in one of those part-time jobs or full-time jobs. This is what is expected. 16 through 24, 527. 25 years and over, depending on what job you work. Now, could this be a career? If you work a career field, nah, because certain career fields pay more. But they give you if you're just a regular wage worker. Same thing applies up here. Another thing, 55 years and over, if you're still a wage worker, this is how much you're going to gross. And if we look at, that's the total, and we look at worker numbers and median worker by men. See that? If you're a wage worker. And I think this combines to be roughly 42K a year. So let me see if I can get my calculator, see if I'm right. I'm just going to use my calculator for a second, guys. Let me find it. Let's say 25 years of age and over between these numbers. If you're making 1,170 times 12 months. Yeah, roughly almost 15K at least. And I think that's over depending on the hours you make weekly, if it's like 10 or whatever. I think that's like $10 an hour, maybe $11. I'm not sure what the average how many hours, but I think it's not anything close to 15. I think it's like over 10 in certain states, some under 10. You're looking at that. Let's go down. Hold on. Oh, my fault. I did the wrong number. That was for whites. I apologize. Let me look at blacks. Yeah, the math was wrong. Let's check the blacks. 25 years and over, 913. That's how much you will probably bring weekly. Yeah, weekly. So if that is the case, times 4, 3,665 times 12. Ah, there you go. That's the math. 43,824. So that's the math. This right here. See this? Between this and this. The only time you expect a man to make 42 grand a year is 25 years and over. See that? I found it. Now, mind you, when y'all go back to the playback, you could probably do the calculator and leave your comments in the comment section if you could do the math and see if it's valid. That's for the black man and African man, or, in general. Oh, yes, Cerulli. Cerulli, no matter of fact, I will give you a link, brother. Hold on. Okay, let's keep looking. Asians. Look at this. Total. Under 16 and over, 1,281. 16 years to 24 years, 677. 25 years and over, 1,338. 25 through 54, increase. And we look at the medium number of workers in thousands and medium working average. From 25 to over. Now, I'm not focused on teenagers to roughly 24 because it's a different number. I always focus on 25 and over because look at 25 and over is a different number. Let's look at this. 1,700. Oh, I did that wrong. 17. I'm trying to calculate this good. 1170. There we go. Times 4 times 12 months. 56,000. So they probably made more than the Caucasian man, because we look at the Caucasian man, Wait, hold on. Oh, my fault. The Caucasian man is roughly 56,167. That's how much for the Caucasian man, 25 and over. So there is roughly a 12K difference. Now for the Asian, I'm only focused on 25 years and over, 15 grand. So let's look at this. 15, 30 times 4, 6,000 times 12, 73 grand. Mm. And let me do one more. This is the Asian. They make roughly 73,440 a year. They make twice that the Caucasian man. And now, last but not least, the Hispanic Latino. 25 years and over, 878. 878 times 4, 3,512 times 12, 42 grand. They only 1,000 short to the median income of the average black man. So now let me open this up. I see Cerulean Gray. What's good?
Greetings.
What's good, Cerulean? I'm not sure how long you've been listening, but I'm just doing some math. I did play from another Elder stream. And now, before I do the solutions, my solutions, which is any better or good, I decided to do a quick Google to look at the numbers from the United States.
It looks like a chart from the Bureau of Labor. And Statistics.
Yeah.
For what is that? Wage distribution or?
I think so. The medium use weekly earnings of full-time wage and salary workers by age, race, Hispanic or Latino ethnicities, and sex. Second quarter 2021 average, not seasonal adjusted. So I just pulled it up just to see what the numbers are, and I was just doing the quick calculation on 25 and older, and it actually matched that 40-something grand as someone's supposed to make.
That's actually misconstrued. The reason why they go 25 to 54.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 16 to 24.
Yep.
You're virtually making nothing, right?
You're not making nothing. Nope. Correct. Mm-hmm.
Then 25, you're making 43 grand. There's only a few things that a young 25-year-old can do that would put him in that bracket.
Okay.
And the major one is the military.
Yep.
But he would have had to join the military between 17 and 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time he's 25, he would have 7 years in, and likely he'd be making more than 40K. Hell, more than 43K.
More than 43K.
Hell, I was 21, 22, in a hazardous region, in a what they call an exclusion zone, right? With all of the bonuses and CPA. I mean, at that time, I had been in 4.5 years, and I was making more than 43K. Matter of fact, I was making nearly 80 with all of the qualifications, special billings, and jobs, and the extra volunteer service for things like humanitarian aid missions and whatnot. I was actually making more than that.
Okay.
You see, like, another place a young 25-year-old could do is virtually anything in, for instance, STEM, especially in science and engineering. 25-year-old engineer, if he had started, fresh out of high school, by the time he's 25, he would at least be a senior journeyman, right?
Yeah.
That would actually net you more than 43K a year. If you worked in, tech, IT, um, if you worked in anything as far as medicine, that even if it's an EMT, EMTs, hell, EMTs start off at around between 36 and 45
Okay.
as an EMT or a firefighter.
I think cops start off with higher than 30K. A cop, if you work as a
it depends on well, for cops is by region, right? So
okay.
it depends on the population of the department that you're going to be serving. So you're not going to go to say a place like let's say Baton Rouge, Louisiana, starting off at 40K. You're not going to do that. You would have about 40K after about 4 or 5 years on the force, though.
Okay.
But by that time he's 30. And the reason why the Bureau of Labor Statistics does that is, that's all coming from the federal government. And the federal government, each time a new president is elected, when he picks a cabinet, right? Like say, head of the Department of Education, Department of Labor, Department of Housing, and whatnot, they come up with a new set of parameters to say inflate a certain level of numbers to make it seem like they improve the economy. And then it also it tricks people's minds into believing that they could be 25 and jump into a high-paying job, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. Because if you actually examine 25 to 54, you'll see the vast majority of those making 40K or more are literally over the age of 35.
See that?
So they use that to commodify these various jobs and say, well, average 25 to 54-year-old, that's a huge jump. That needs to be broken down. You got 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Because you got to think 16 to 24 is 8 years.
The
next period should be 15 or 25 to 34, and then 35 to 44, and 45 to 54. And the reason why that is because this isn't even taking into account the various nuances like raises. America is the one country that has irregular raises. That's not, say, a federal or state policy. Unlike a place like, say, France or Germany, right, where the government basically says that you have to regularly, between 1 and every 3 years, give your employees a raise. But then if you look at the productivity of a place like Germany or France or say Sweden or Norway, right, where these policies exist, you see a much higher quality of life. You see a longer life expectancies. You also see lower levels of health problems. You see, the same goes for a place like some places in Asia, like Japan has that policy. China, does not have that policy, and you can look at the way, China's, even though China's economy on the outside looks like is booming and bustling, but understand that even though they are the biggest exporter of consumer goods in the world, like their profit margin on those goods is relatively low, considering that the biggest part of exporting those goods is the money that they throw into buying more freight ships, and then when they export it to another country, there's another freight service that they have to literally contract with the freight service to get their goods from port to to retail, right?
Mm. Okay. Okay.
And so it's kind of like say AliExpress or Amazon or eBay or what have you, right? That's why you see all of these things on like if you ever go to Amazon, why do you think Amazon is able to give you something like free shipping, which is one of the most expensive things to pay for? Because everything that you buy on Amazon is added, like the price of objects are what's added into that cost of said object is the shipping already, which is how they can give it to you seemingly for free.
Yeah.
Sometimes
if you pay a subscription, you don't have to worry about shipping, but we know that's an extra cost, which shipping is very expensive.
Like if you try to go and ship something, go and ship say you order a new desk, you want to do a computer desk, for your office space, right?
Yeah.
Say it weighs 30 pounds, right? Amazon can ship that for free. Now you go and ship a 30-pound package at say UPS or FedEx or what have you, and you see it's a completely different story, just how expensive it is to ship a 30-pound package.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's why it's added into the cost of said object that you're trying to purchase. And if you look at what Amazon employees are making, the ones that are making over 40K are over 35.
Wow. You know that.
Yeah. And the same goes for, the same goes for a lot of the tech companies like Apple, Uber, Microsoft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like comparatively, a 25-year-old can go into, say, tech, Microsoft, Apple, fresh out of college, but they've already got 4 to 6 years of college before they get there, right? So what they're actually getting paid for is experience. Those people may be able to get that $40 to $50,000 coming into an Apple or Microsoft, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they've got the college. But say you're coming in at the entry level for tech. For the entry level of tech, $40,000 is actually low. You see,
it is. It is. Just the entry is very low. I'm getting float, and they consider that middle class, which I always question. Depending what state you're in, you're not really getting by for that shit. 40K.
It's the same way with medical. It's the same way with engineering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you got 4 to 6 years of experience in engineering, and you come in and you're 25, 26, 27, 40K is going to be low. Is actually the low end of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you literally have to rack up more experience specifically in the company or firm that you're working for in order to make more than that 40K, because that's like entry level for jobs in STEM. Those are low paying. Like 40K is a low paying job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But it's a high paying job if you're working for a company, like a service company, like say Burger King, McDonald's, like Applebee's. That's high, because that's basically what a Applebee's manager would make, right?
Mm-hmm. You're right. I'm scrolling down, looking more at this.
And that's why the last time that was those stats, because before hell, even back during the days of Bush Jr., it was actually spread out in like 9 to 10 year increments. And Obama actually, left it the way that it was. Trump actually is the one that changed all of that, had his cabinet change all of those stats so that everybody's lumped into this big pile of 25 to 54-year-olds, right?
Interesting. Very interesting.
And that was literally to inflate the numbers to make his, to make his administration look good.
Interesting. Very interesting. Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But it's just to give illusion that this is average, and I know some other people that talked about it, that they said that it's even lesser. But when we look at your age and depending on what you're doing, that if you got, let's say, a 4-year degree, I mean, that's just the start, depending on what field you're in.
You can even see it right here, where this is a stat, right? 25 to 34. That's low end, 928.
Yeah, 928.
You're not even getting into the 43,000 until you're 35 to 44.
And this is considered average. And let's not say this is the highest peak. Now, a lot of people say, well, there are some people that's making 65, 80K, and possibly 100K, well, as they reach their financial peak. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what job?
Like, if you really understand that,
a financial peak, because this is reflected right here. You get me? Just
if
this.
You really understand like the overall, the overall economy. Less than 15% of Americans make 6 figures. Less than 15%.
Less than 15%. Very low. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
Vast majority of in fact, the vast majority of Americans aren't even middle class. Like it's like something like 54, 55% of Americans make under 40K. And then you have another, say, 30% that that are in that 40K to 99.99, $99,999.
Okay.
And then to make over that is, like if you're 25 and you're making over that, you're a part of an even smaller group, right? Because it's like something like 3 to 4% of those that make over 100K a year. Like literally less than 10% of them are under 35. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Agree with that one. Yeah. And it's funny that doing this, I'm looking at the numbers real carefully, very carefully. Hold on. Was that Shatter? What's good?
Yo, what's going on? Chaos, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you good. Hey, I know, man, you've been watching
what's going on,
the stream earlier. I'm good. Is this the first time you're seeing these numbers, Shatter? Because I just did a quick Google after Mr. Igmore did his rant, and I said, let me just do the numbers and check out, just by seeing what will give me. You get me? And this came up, and they're showing rough data, but like Cerulean said earlier, this is very subjective, Cerulean, because they're not really breaking down really between that first 10 years from 25 to 35. They're just going skipping that all the way. That's like
I want
30
you to keep in mind, right?
Yeah.
I want you to keep in mind, right? Like if you look at like 16 and over that it's saying, right?
Yeah.
Just look at that 16.
I'm sorry. I'm Shatter. Mute yourself because it's giving feedback. It's like a bad feedback. All right. Continue. Go ahead.
Like you look at that 16 and over, right? Up in the far right corner, where it says median weekly earnings. The only 16-year-olds that are making $8.99 a month are kids that's parents got money. Okay.
That's facts, bro. That's facts.
like they're coming to work, with their pops or their uncle, right? That is like they're apprenticing under, right? Like it's say at the local at the say the local 100, steel worker,
Mm-hmm.
Or
steel
they
worker
selling
union,
drugs,
right? Hell,
or they selling
if they
drugs.
16, I'll tell you this: if they 16 selling drugs, they gonna make way more than $8.99.
Yeah, they're gonna make more of that. They're gonna probably carry a
Well,
couple
it
dollars.
just depend on where you at and what drug you're selling. So let me say that.
But yeah, like those kids that are 16, 24 that are like 16 to 24 years old, they just not making no goddamn 900, 800,
Yeah,
900
yeah.
unless they are working for like the family business,
Mm-hmm.
unless they're working for a company, where their parents, know the motherfuckers who own the shit. It's like no, every 16-year-old ain't getting that. Like they batch those numbers in there to misrepresent the data. Like
Yep.
you look at the vast majority of those that are making over $1,000 a week, they're gonna be over, like literally, they're over 35, bro.
Over 35 years old. That's the craziest thing
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% on what you said on that, Cerulean, because most of them is gonna be over the age of 30. Period. Point blank. That's across the board, bro. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is
Yeah,
just
I'm telling you, like the
I was
only
telling you, man, in the chat, dog. I just got on this Amazon and this eBay shit, man. I got on it literally just to sell a couple of extra items that I haven't been using at the studio, right, Cerulean?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And brother, I promise you, man, it's been one of the trip on it. Chaos to tell you, man, the trip
Mm-hmm.
on it that I've been taking, bro. I'm making so much money just on old stuff that people was like, man, you ought to just donate that stuff, dude. I just made $350 off an item with no returns, man. That a dude was telling me that he was giving me at the pawn shop $30 for it. I put it
Shit, you
on the
getting
internet
robbed. You
last
getting
night. It ain't
robbed.
been 24 hours.
You getting robbed, man.
Exactly.
That's and
I
I'll
would
be
have
honest.
been robbed. I
Let me
would
tell you
have.
some of let me tell you some of the future of pawn shops. They are obsolete at this point because they have not improved, they have not evolved, because people that think local selling their shit are losing hundreds and hundreds of money on any product.
Well, if you understand that, right, then you'll
Yeah.
understand why a company like say GameStop had that tremendous drop in their stocks, because pawn shops like GameStop literally uses a pawn shop model. Like whenever you return a game that you're not playing, and you done paid $60, $65,
It's worse.
$70 for it,
It's worse. It's
and
worse.
they give you they
It's
give you
worse than a
$5
pawn
for
shop model.
You're right.
Man,
Yeah,
look,
it
you
is.
can take a brand new game like Madden, right? You take
Mhm.
that brand new Madden, you take it home and play it one day. Fuck it. Don't even take it home. Take it, put it in your car, still in the plastic. Drive away from there, GameStop, and come back the next day. It went from $60 to maybe $7. Where they do that at?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's bad, really bad.
Yeah,
Mhm.
when I saw that 300 bless my screen for some shit I done had in my house, bro, literally over 2.5 years. And they was talking about giving me $30 at the pawn shop, and I was looked at the dude. Even then, just looked at him. I was like, man, I'll keep it. The shit, I'll burn it up before I give it to you for $30. And
Mhm. What's that mean?
man, I went online.
Yeah, you're breaking up. You're breaking up, Shatter, man. The quality of visuals is breaking up. You're speaking. I'm not gonna hear you. Let you know. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I tell you, man, it's a trip, man. You get me, Sister Really? I want to make sure I'm not
Yep.
breaking up. Okay, good. Yeah, man. So my thinking is this: that I was letting y'all to see for yourself. And like I said, if y'all think that there's better information or something that you're disputing, there's the comment section at the end of this live stream. You could leave a comment and you could drop a link, even better, or where Mark, please. I'm not the person to say, knew it all. But I was just sitting there just examining the numbers at hand. Now, for Black demographics, since most Black men like to use this, let me check Black demographics for a second. Let me take this down. And let's look at the difference. Let me share this. Make sure y'all share the screen. I mean, share. Oh, share the live stream. Let's see, Black demographics, and let's see what it says here. X that out. Come on, no commercials. Employment. Let's see what I get for this. Let's try and find the data. Exit. All right, what's this? Austin employees population 6 years over. I think managed times. Nope, that's more percentage. I'm looking at the money. Application manager business. Yeah, here's another data here. Hold on. I don't know if anybody can see this. Let me exit. I got this pop up. I got to get rid of this pop up. Yeah, I got to zoom in. Let me zoom in. Yeah, let's look at the details here. And let's examine this. And you could probably respond. Okay, it says African Americans occupation. All civil employed population 16 years and over. Managed business 30%. All U.S. 38%. Service occupation 25%. Sales office 24%. Natural resources. And get rid of that. Why is this thing still popping up? Yeah, that's annoying. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can get rid of this because this is now annoying. Yeah, I'm probably gonna zoom out. Okay. You can see it, Cerulean, because this pop-up just interrupt the whole thing.
Yep,
yeah, you can see it. Let me refresh. As you can tell here, I'm not gonna zoom in because if I zoom in, it's gonna show this. As you can tell, these are the details from computer engineering. This is, I'm not sure if this amount of people, look like this amount of people. Men and women, 235,000 men in the field, women less than that. Agricultural engineering, a little bit more, some men more hands-on when we do computer engineering, science, occupation. Education, legal, different side. Women more occupy that space. Men barely touches this, depending on if the education, training, library, occupation. So we don't go around those type of fields: education, legal, community service, healthcare, practitioner, technical applications. Not much men in that field, mostly women. Service, occupation, healthcare, food preparation, building, personal care. We could tell from this side, men occupy from the food and building grounds and cleaning maintenance, more high numbers. And protective service, firefighter, prevention, protective service, roughly men harvest that field. Law enforcement work, including supervisor, men harvest that. Sales and office occupation, you can see percentage. Men don't harbor in that area. Natural resource, construction, maintenance, occupation. Obviously, men are going to harbor that. Farming, construction, installation. And productive transportation and material moving occupations. Men harbor that. And this is from 3-4 years ago. So this is an old data. Very old.
Yes.
And not very old. And the problem what I have with this site, which a lot of men keep reference, we're now in 2021. This should have been updated a year ago or two. Because if they get the numbers from this site alone, they're not updating the numbers. So if we do the income, if this is roughly 4 years ago, this should have been updated. And it goes back. Look at this. See that? Cerulean? What's the difference? Can anybody pay attention? This said from 2021, it was 900. This says 842. Oh, no, my fault. Let me make sure. 25 years and over, men. 25 years and over. All right, it got that number right now. You get me? For men. So, but like I said, the data has not been updated from this website for 4 years. Medium house so 43 grand. So I'm not shitting on blackdemographics.com, but the man that created this website, his data needs to be updated. And this is why I don't reference certain things on the internet, because I like to see things change over a period of time over the year or two, because data is always updated. Trump and LBJ, which I don't care about. Individual income per capita, like we said before, 41 from 22. Male full-time year-round workers. As you can tell here, that's what it says. But this is 4 years ago. So it's no different. You know?
Yeah.
No different. And that's just blackdemographics.com. You get me? Let me stop sharing this. So y'all seen that. Y'all see the data. You see the statistics. So I was laid out for see the difference between what I show you here and what you explained, Cerulean, much well said, to what I see from the other website. And to me, as I conclude that, okay, this is the median average for the Black man that's adult age up to 35. And I said that, you know, we couldn't prove on that. But for the sake of the conversation of this stream, I like to lay out some solutions for the so-called average man. You know what I'm saying? Which, if I should I have time, do I have time to do it? I don't know. I'll think about it. Well, let me see. Do I have my calculator? No, I don't have it up here. But anything you want to add on, Cerulean, because I'm probably going to wrap this up slowly to do the solution parts. If I bring it down.
No, not really. I mean, even Black demographics, right? Because the problem with certain information, like especially like income, right? Income distribution.
Yep.
They don't even use the Bureau of Labor Statistics or National Vital Statistics or Department of Labor. They don't use any of those statistics. What they actually use is census data. And the problem I have with census,
I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree.
The problem I have with companies or even websites that use census data, again, that's another trick that media outlets and think tanks, they like to use that to make it seem like the economy is doing better than what it is. You got to understand the census. Before 2016, the census happened every 10 years.
Yeah.
You see? And that only changed in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was November 2015 when fiscal year budget what was happening was Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Labor put in this budget along with the Census Bureau, which they're trying to phase out now because not everybody participates in the census. And so they made a request to Congress to allow them a budget to outsource data gathering, like statistical data, right? And as a matter of fact, I remember this going all the way back, 2006, 2007, 2008. Right before I dropped out of college. You would see these kids, walking around in your streets around town with these clipboards, right? These college kids, right? asking you to do a quote unquote survey. Well, those kids are making extra money for college, making extra money so they can pay for things like food and recreation while they're going to college, right? Because that's a part of the school's budget that they use to gather data for organizations like the Department of Health and Human Resources, and the Department of Health and Human Services, and the Department of Labor. And as a matter of fact, most of those kids are more than likely, if not most likely, going through some kind of liberal arts program. And they're just using that as not only a side job, but some extra college credits, right?
Yep.
And that's how that stuff is gathered. Like, there's not no magical, there's not no magical artificial intelligence that is going through each individual person's. That's not happening. Because one, they're not going up to people that are in these tent cities. They're not going up to people that are, sleeping under a bridge. They're not going down the Skid Row to gather any data. That's why, just recently, what was happening in, I forget where it was at. It was some park in California where Larry Elder was running for governor, and he went and visited this park, and it was basically a tent city. And he, just like so many others before him, that it doesn't matter if they're liberals or conservatives, Republicans or Democrats, keep trying to ignore the overarching issue that causes that level of homelessness. And that's why the census is ever inaccurate. So Black demographics, they love to use the Census Bureau data, which, like just to say, if data was taken every 10 years before 2016, that means everything prior to 2016 that was not outsourced to a private firm to collect data on people, or to do surveys on people, everything prior to 2016 was inaccurate.
Wow. That's true. But it goes. Sorry.
So when you see these, these statistics on places like Black demographics, there's another conservative one. The name doesn't come to mind just now, but there's another conservative one that likes to misrepresent the data, constantly, like heavily leaning on Census Bureau data. It's inaccurate stuff. Trump, I don't really have any, negative or positive feelings towards the guy, but Trump was big on that. I mean, you gotta remember, this is a guy throughout his presidency that's like, look what I did for the country. I made it better. The economy is booming. No, the economy is in the shitter right now. You're talking about a guy that because of his infatuation with his public image, more than his dedication to the seat of presidency, literally left this country, ill prepared to deal with the Rona, And you got to see just how poor shape the economy is in. Now, the fact that the economy is in this terrible shape, it doesn't even have anything to do with Trump. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even have anything to do with Obama or George Bush Jr. for that matter. Because the problems, like for instance, the 2008 housing bubble, the credit crisis of 2007, that led up to that housing bubble of 2008.
Yeah.
All of those problems are literally the problems that were created during the Reagan administration, though. But it took that 20 some odd years for you to see the result of what Reaganomics and trickle down economics does to an economy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very slow, painful, downward spiraling death of economy. That's what trickle down is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally what George Bush Jr., who doubled down on it, is like, well, I mean, if we're going to trickle down, we might as well trickle some of that money to expanding the military budget to buy tanks we don't need, right?
Yeah, man. More money for the military.
Right? And even over George Bush Jr.'s presidency, that's why he had so much waste and abuse. That's why was 2009, 2010, Obama comes in, and he basically inherits a dying economy.
Mm-hmm.
And that dying economy was going to lead to yet again more homelessness, right? More unemployment, more joblessness, more exportation of domestic jobs to the third world, which is not even good for the third world. Because when a company exports that job to the third world, it creates an entirely new problem in the third world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That's why you go to places like South Africa, and you have people literally hopping out of their cars, doing some hop out boy shit, literally in traffic, to steal an iPad from people. Man, like, this is literally what's happening in places like South Africa. Yeah, because those exporting those jobs, it only lifts a certain number of people out of abject poverty. And so what happens is that people in abject poverty, instead of vying for those jobs, which I don't think they really should. I think they should do what China did and cut out the middleman and make their own products and do it at a cheaper price. Problem is that they're going to do that. So what happens is that instead of going to get a job, they go and steal it from somebody who already has the job that can afford things that people in abject poverty desire but can't afford. And hence it begins yet again another wave of corruption. I mean, it's an old strategic warfare tactic used by the old robber barons, right?
Yeah.
To create a sense of relative poverty. Relative to what? Milford W. Howard wrote in the American Plutocracy, 1896, about the relative poverty and how you literally had less than 1% of the wealth, right? Less than 1% of the wealth by that 99% of the population had to share. Yeah. Well, the vast majority of the wealth was just owned by whatever, less than 1% of the population owned the vast majority of the wealth, like something like 80 to 90%. And that was happening in 1896. So what do you think is happening with this new age model as they just, do the same thing just in a different way?
Which doesn't really work. It's that matter of fact, doing that route, that is actually the definition of insanity. If you think about it, that's insanity.
I mean, you got to think we live in. I wouldn't say that's the definition of insanity. And I hear people keep misquoting that, like, they like to think that Einstein, the guy who couldn't tie his shoe, who couldn't even solve his own E equals MC square equation, the guy that basically stole everything that he is credited for from the patent office that he worked at. To tell you that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And the reality is that what is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? You know, that's called practice. Okay, repetition. So you had this guy who in our modern era would literally be, because you know, if Einstein lived in the modern era today, he would be considered an imbecile. But because he could string along some equations that he memorized from shit that he stole out of the patent office, people thought that he was smart. And you know, he was literally like, I mean, literally the biggest fucking scammer as far as inventors and you know, intellectuals go. You know, scammed his way through everything. But to confuse practice with insanity, practice is not insane. Think of a basketball player. And this is what America keeps trying to do. It keeps trying to practice that same old model because they think somehow that they're going to be able to perfect it. That's why they keep practicing it, putting it into practice. The problem is that it has been proven not to work even before America, becomes a country, right? Because if you look at it, that's one of the very same criticisms that, say, Karl Marx had of the institution of capitalism. Is that it creates these tremendous disparities. And even where it does not create a disparity, but generates wealth and allows you know, groups of people to set up, you know, their own enclaves. You know, after Marx comes you know, Emil Durkheim. You know, that's part of Durkheim's dilemma. Right? They've never, over 400 years of using that same system, they have never been able to get it to work, and they've been practicing a hell of a lot with it. Never, not a single time they've ever been able to get that system to work. That's why you're seeing this mass rise in the advocacy of you know, economic patterns such as socialism and true democracy, right?
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing that, is because the way that the current paradigm works, it just doesn't work. And the more that it isolates and disenfranchises people, the more damage long term that you're causing to the economy, which makes it harder for you, if you're, say, a corporation, a company owner, even a small business. It actually makes it that much harder for you to make a profit, which is what you want to do, which is the whole point of owning a business, is to generate profit. But if you're putting people in a state where you're constantly disenfranchising them, right?
Right.
You're not paying them what they're worth, so forth, so on. You're making people less eager to even want to go to work, even if you're offering an incentive.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
You're
Like
right.
nowadays, like just over this pandemic, you have companies that, I mean, been around, known for you know, economic terrorism, you know, human rights violations, like child labor violations, right? Hiring, you know, school age kids, keeping them out past midnight to close a freaking Burger King, right?
Yeah.
All right. This is the first time that you've ever seen companies like, say, Burger King or a Chipotle or a Starbucks offering bonuses such as you know, healthcare plans, you know, stock options, you know, freaking education packages, right? Yeah, you know, post-secondary education packages as bonuses to make it more attractive for young people to work at these companies. This is the first time you ever seen that.
Yeah.
But see, at the same time, you know, that's also an exercise in socialism and democracy.
Yeah, both. And I think certain countries, like for example, China, they practice, I think, both. I could be wrong, I could be mistaken, but yeah, you can't have one without the other. I know people think say live in America, capitalism work. Oh yeah, it might work for those who are the capitalists, but if you are not in a certain
No, see,
hierarchy,
China found a way to balance it, right?
yeah. Which America is not gonna take that model of balancing this shit at all, you know? Yeah.
See, and this is why China has been able to literally springboard itself um, into being hell to overtaking their Western competition, right? They'll tell you that China's a communist country. Yes, it is. Authoritarian. Yes, it is.
Yes, it
But
is. Oh,
China,
yes, it is. They got a credit system. They got what do you call it? Social something credit system over there. Yeah, yeah.
but China is also something even more important than that. China is literally, by population, the biggest capitalist nation in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And how it works is that domestically, they employ communism, socialism, while for their import and export side of goods created domestically, it's socialist. You still have the capitalist, you know, the capitalist element there because people still use money to buy goods and services from one another.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have capitalism going on within the country, but the way that it is employed is that, if you are under, say, the CCCP,
Mm-hmm.
your company has to follow the dictates of the Communist Party of China. And the Communist Party of China says no CEO, no CEO that works in these specific industries will make more than 15 times the amount of the lowest paid worker because we said so.
Shit,
And that's why
that's
you see
serious dictatorship. Oh.
and that's why you see a lot of the corporate, the corporate heads of Chinese companies,
Mm-hmm.
going to Europe, coming to America, Canada, Australia, where they're just slightly out of the reach of the CCTV, but not really, because if the Communist Party of China wants you, the Communist Party of China is going to get you.
Yep.
I mean, they abducted billionaires that were right here in America.
Mm-hmm.
Like they abducted them and had them extradited right back to China under the nose of the second the second most powerful intelligence arm in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can look that up right now if you want to, like the
Mm-hmm.
number of Chinese billionaires that have gone missing or like mysteriously disappeared. And
You know what I'm gonna do? Because I never examined it, I will probably do a stream on that. So
and that's how they
if you
employ.
we'll break that down further because I never look into that. And to be honest, I'm sorry because I had to soon jump out here because I have another stream to do. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to probably make the time look into because I never think about that.
But
Yeah.
on another note, the only place where you see and this is why the communist side, which is why you see so many Chinese wanting to leave China, because they don't like the iron fisted control that the Communist Party has over all of the institutions of China. It doesn't matter if it's business, the private sector, the public sector, they control it top down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, companies can still operate and make money and make profit, but they can only make the type of profit that the Communist Party of China say they can make. That's communism within the borders. When they're operating outside the borders, it's all capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
All capitalism, which is how they were able. Which is how they were able to outpace America in production, right? In engineering, in science,
Mm-hmm.
in math. Like because of this unfettered capitalism within the borders of America is literally what caused the decline in, you know, quality of life for your average American, uh, earnings and income level for your average American,
Mm-hmm.
competency for your average American, like literacy for your average American, and the tremendous rise of mental illness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chronic disease,
Yeah.
cancer,
Yeah.
like all of these corporate shills within the government
Mm-hmm.
have killed, like literally have killed this country to a great extent where you literally had people believing that Reaganomics was a good idea. All of the problems that we're dealing with today stem from Reaganomics.
Yeah. Mm, I see. I see. I see. All right. Thank you, Cerulean. Yeah, that's a lot. Like I said, guys, y'all got to go back to playback to digest a lot of this information. That's the only thing I can say for all that will re-listen to this. But now I'm probably gonna do the solutions. Any last words, Cerulean? Come on, I'm gonna put you down. I mean,
Hey, I have no last words. Thanks for having me up. Salute to the
mm-hmm.
nation. Long live the black nobility and my noblesse.
Yes. And if anything, if I do that stream, I'll let you know through the other sites to come up as I look into that. Is that cool?
Yeah, if time permits, like today is a Sunday, and kind of a relaxed day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had plenty of time. Hop on here with you.
Okay. Yeah. I'll look into it, and like I said, Sunday will be the day. But then again, this is the great regime. You know what I'm saying? It's really great. Eba, please. All right. Let me see. Where's my Omaha? Where is it? All right, guys. Let me do this. Thank you, answering. Okay. Now, what solutions? 42, or what they said the average, right? Let's look at these numbers. Currency converted. I'm just going to give maybe a suggestion. And most men nowadays, they're probably exploring this suggestion. But let's look at it. Now, we all know there are ADOS, or average working black man in America, makes what from black demographics, and from what the Bureau of Statistics say, they make roughly 40 something. Let me make sure I find it. Make sure. Yeah, I'm just making sure the numbers are right. All right. It said the median right now, income per household and family, income 43 grand. Black. I'm trying to find the man again. Make sure I'm right. Kind of want to be spitting out the mouth. Yes, let's say it's 42 grand. And let me just calculate one more time to make sure I'm right. Yeah, let's say it's 43 grand, 248. Currency converter. Let's look at the amount of dollar. It spreads. 42, or actually 43, but it says 42. Let's give it extra 1,000. 248. Let's say that is the average. This is how much you get in Europe if you decide as a black man to explore your options and try to travel a little bit and find, let's say, if you want to find a mate, or you just want to go somewhere else and hope that your money stretch. Now, the currency converter I'm showing you right now, from what you're seeing, is how much my money will stretch if I'd like to explore options, whether I'm relocating or find a mate. Now, to explain this, you got to understand that a lot of people think that if you make 42 grand as a man and 50K as a non-black man, but we're not focused on non-black man because obviously non-black men that make an extra 10 or 12K has traveled, but most black men in the West in mass or droves doesn't travel much outside their neighborhood or their communities. But let's say you make that money at age 25 and over 35 and higher. From what the first data show from the Bureau to Black Demographics, let's say that is the median income, which is the average for your average man. The solution is you might have to travel out and explore some options, rather find a mate, or say explore some options of maybe, going somewhere else to buy your house, land, or whatever, if you can. Let's look how my money spreads for 43 grand a year. In Europe, is cut down in half. You only, if you make 43 grand in America and you try to go somewhere else with that, that's 37,000. Let's go down. Let's look at African nation. Or matter of fact, let's go to the Caribbean. Then we go work our way to the African nation. Let's try the Barbados. Now you're looking at you making, it jumps from 40 grand to 86,000. What happens if I decide to explore, find a mate, or maybe relocate or do something with my money? Let's go to Canada. Canada, you make an X, you from 43 grand, if you transfer that money over to another nation like Canada, it roughly your money stretches a little longer, and you'll be worth 54 grand if you still have and still making money off the United States currency, the dollar bill. That's the average. Let's look at I'm just picking countries, people. Let's look at Australia. Australia, your net worth and what you make yearly will be 59 grand 500 from converting and going over or traveling or finding mates, going from one country to the other. In Australian dollars, converted is 59 grand a year. Let's go down further. Belgium, France. You're looking at 100. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's like 500 or 1,504,000 in their currency. That's a lot. In Belgium, France. And these are European nations I'm just laying out. I'm going to mix between the Caribbean islands to Africa to Europe and potentially other South America countries. Let's go down to Bermuda. Bermuda, it's the same. Well, actually, no, my fault. It's not the same. Is it? Yeah, it's the same. 43 grand. Let's go down. Let's go to Belize, because you hear a lot of black men going down South America or exploring options, seeing Latina women, or they want to find a mate and then eventually maybe possibly go back and forth and maybe put use to the money to buy a house or whatever, sell down. Your money will be worth 85 grand 318 in Belize. If you're an average man making 43 grand a year. Now, let's go further down. Let's go to Brazil. You're looking at 231 grand year. If you convert and take your money, what you make yearly, and go elsewhere with it to a country like Brazil. That means you be over six figures. You be pushing almost $250,000 in Brazilian real. If you're just an average man. And I can see why a lot of black men, and we can say men generally, because they travel, other non-black men travel to Brazil because the cost of living and where the money, your dollar is stretched a lot further in Brazil. Let's go down. Let's go to, let's look. Colombiana peso. You'll be over a millionaire all over again with your net worth of $43,248. Now, mind you, this is just if you're an average earning man. This is what you're making at age 25 and older. Not, I'm talking about 16 and 24. I'm talking about 25 and older. And they said that peak of most men is in their mid 30s and late 30s. But if you're an average worker and you decide to stay average and don't want to go any higher than that, that's fine. Exploring different regions outside the country will probably be your alternate solution if everything else fails. And Colombia looks like it's the highest right now. You'd be a millionaire if you're making that yearly. Now, people say, well, what happens if you have to come back and forth, and you might have to live back in America, your rent, and you might not have money left over? Yeah, that is a big issue. But here's the thing: if you're able to snag and hustle extra and save 1,000 or more here just to travel, that will be no problem. That's no problem at all. I think a plane ticket for most of these countries is not much, depending on the season. But imagine you carry your network here and then you go somewhere else with it. Now, I'm not sure if I'm talking about retirement, but let's say if you're retired and you're carrying a check roughly that's going to be monthly, that's going to equal to 43 grand a year. This will make a decent retirement, but we're talking about average earning men that wants to explore options and try other regions, other countries. These are the countries you could look into. And I would say most men, if you're a man, average earning man, you should travel. Regardless if you are an average earner, you should travel. Let's go down. And trust me, I know some brother that travels to South, what do you call it? Is this South America? I think it's Dominican Republic, and I know he's netting roughly this yearly. So don't tell me it cannot be done. It could be done. And with 43 grand a year, you could create your own business outside America if you want to. So let's look at, let's see. Colombia or Cuba. You're a millionaire in Cuba if you decide to take your money elsewhere in Cuba. 1,081,000. What else? Dominican Republic. You are over a millionaire. You're 2,425,000. If you're a net average of 43 grand, if you take your money and go elsewhere in Dominican Republic, which one of my friends, one person I know that travels often to Colombia every couple months or some a year. And I know he doesn't make anything roughly over 50K a year. He probably make a little less than that, to be honest with you, than 43K. So I'm going to do a few more and I'm going to wrap this up. Let's look. Ethiopia, you're a millionaire. If you take your 43 grand and you go to travel and you want to, reside, stay, or find mate in Ethiopia, that's how much your worth will be with your 43 grand a year. 1,989,000. See that? Let's look. What else? We can go to, let's check Ghana, which most black men don't want to go to Ghana, but let's say if you want to go to African nation, you're 43 grand a year, your net worth over there is 260. See that? It's a lot. Let's go further down. That's an African nation I was checking. Haiti, I'm not going to look into because most brothers don't want to go back to certain parts of the island. Try to find one more or two more. Let's try Mexico. 883 grand in Mexico. 43 grand a year, living in Mexico with that same United States dollar, you are almost close to a millionaire. See that? And Mexico is close to the border of America. So that's another option. What else? Should I do Nigeria? Nah, I ain't got to do Nigeria. Let's go down. Oh, the last thing we're going to look into is the Philippines. I know a lot of black men are traveling to the Philippines to also live in their life and find a wife, etc. You're 43 grand a year in United States currency. You carry it over to the Philippines. You're roughly $2,194 net worth of your money converting over to one country to another. And I think I will stop right there. I know I've noticed that too, Shatter, but that is what it is. So, in conclusion to all this, an average earning man or average at best man, it can suck. I agree, it does suck. Only in America, but if you explore your options, you don't suck no more. That's just the honest truth. So, like I said, there are ways to still deal with and have a decent life if you're average working man. Is you have to strategize and plan your life out how you're going to maneuver in this environment if you're going to remain at the average wage you are in. Now, as a man, should you stay average and remain in the same earning wage? In America, no, you want to do a little better if you can. Or you could just go to other parts, other states where the cost of living is a little bit lesser. You can get by. Now, because sustain a family, I don't know. Because in America, 2 people work nowadays. And it's always been like that for decades. There's not one part in American history that women never had to work. You hear me? There was not one part. The women that work, if we want to go there, is only roughly just 30%. But 7% of Americans, 2 people work. And that's just the honest truth that no one's telling y'all this. But what I know, you know what I'm saying? Y'all guys could do the research. If you're new to this channel, Chaos Reign, thank you. But if you're going to be new, always hit that red button and hit the top bell for uploads and streams here on Chaos Reign channel. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7. And now you can follow me or add me as friend on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook. So, like always, you know where to find me.
Let it go. Ring.